Hi, everyone. Welcome to Allan and Maria. My name is definitely, hold it, I'm not Maria.
I always interrupt you. I'm sorry.
You didn't interrupt me. You go ahead. You ladies first.
Oh, thank you. Well,
You're
welcome,
welcome.
guys. Alan and Maria here discuss things that we normally don't know what we're going to discuss prior to that.
We go with the flow.
Yes, this is
We have no
important.
idea what we're going to talk about.
How are
So
you, Alan?
I'm doing really well. As I was telling you earlier, I feel guilty. I think I've said that before, but during this pandemic era, uh, I've life for some reason is probably better for me now than it's ever been. So I'm using this time. I'm doing something right. I'm doing something right. So
So
things
you
are
would say
going
you are guided?
well. It's not so much that I'm guided. I think that this experience of self isolation. I think not just me. It's pushing all of us to either grow, to heal, to become better, to become more loving, to become more caring, to prioritize what's important, or we go nuts and we get more fearful and more crazy and more destructive. So I've chosen the first. So I'm practicing what I preach kind of thing, and it's working out well. How about you?
That is awesome. Well, I
Be
just had,
honest.
be honest, I go through different times. There are some times of turbulence, of course, like everyone else has, and I have been guided to a place where I live right now, and right now I realize this is absolutely not my environment, but I was guided to come here at some point. I needed to fulfill something being here. So basically, right now, it's when not having this communication, I just have to come up with a lot of different ideas. But I like what you were talking about, either growing from it or we going nuts, because I just had this webinar that everybody talks now about. Tony Robbins did for us, crews and coaches. And this webinar was for 6 hours. And we spoke about a lot about pain, suffering, that pain is going to happen in your life, which is right now, right? Everybody's experiencing pain at some degree. But the suffering, it is something that you choose. And that really explains what's happening right now, because like you said, you trying to grow from it, meaning that you're not choosing the suffering. And this is what's important to catch yourself on, because when you suffer, it's about, victimhood stage. It's about poor me. And when you having pain, but trying to really grow from it, that is just really making lemonade out of lemons, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think when I was living as a monk, one of the things we were taught is that the goal was to become unattached, not to be too overly attached to anything. And it's very easy to become attached to anything, including pain. So if we experience pain, there is nothing wrong with feeling emotional pain, physical pain, any kind of pain. It's what we do with it. Are we going to become a victim, like you said, or are we going to pick ourselves up by the bootstraps and get back into what I call the Zen zone? Because I like to hang out with my higher self. I want my higher self, so to
Where?
speak.
What is your
My
higher self? I don't see.
I
Hi,
want my
Alan.
higher
Another Alan.
self to lead the show. Whenever I think of my own little puny mind or my own emotions or my own physical body, I see them like I draw an analogy like if I'm driving a van and my higher self is the big Alan, the higher self, when the little Allens, the emotions and the little mind tries to run the show and drive the car, I say, no, 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 no. I love you, but you're in the back seat.
The little Alan sitting is in the car seat on the back.
Yeah, I send it back to the back seat. The higher self runs the show. And as long as the higher self, we tune in to my friend always used to say, Alan, get back to spirit, get back to simplicity, get in the zone. And then when you're in the zone, you transform your negative beliefs into positive, you channel your emotions into enthusiasm and passion, and then you take physical action and communicate with love and wisdom. So it's all flows. And once you get to mastery of that level, your life is more ease and flow, even within all the chaos around us. So that's why I'm using this as a platform to raise the bar of my own self evolution type thing.
That is beautiful. So to speak, you stay like staying in that state when you allowing yourself to feel the way you feel, but you observe it rather than react on it, rather than to fall into suffering state or a victim state. You just observing and allowing yourself, because not allowing yourself to be in a certain state would lead into acting on it.
That is
Because
so true, because the emote, it's funny. I to this day, I have some friends who get freaked out when they feel feelings. No, I don't want to feel like that. They don't want to talk about the negative things in the world because they're afraid to feel. My attitude is feelings are fine. Anger, sadness, love, fear, let them come. Now, when I feel them, I say, oh, acknowledge it, embrace it, channel it, and release it, and let it go. That's what a little child does. They cry, 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 stop crying. But adults, we start to hold on to a lot of this crap, and that's where our trouble starts.
Yeah, because if we becoming aware of the triggers, because hey, let's be honest, we're not children anymore. We had quite a lot of years of experience in growing up, right? Good and bad. So this is why it's different a little bit. But it doesn't mean we cannot go back to that state as little children, as you're saying, right? That when we start being aware, identify the triggers that come in our way. But there is a difference acting on them with anger, frustration, hurting people, or not, just observing and like you say, okay, I feel this way, let's see what I could do with this. Because if it's anger, it's really good to channel it to doing work and action, right? Because anger is that fire that you have within you. If it's feeling of sadness, being upset, well, it's maybe you would want to look into yourself and see, why are you feeling sad? Is that something you being a little child you were upset about and you didn't heal? So that's another way to look at it. You have to know what you're looking, because if you never was aware before of your triggers and now you are, that's a huge success, right?
Absolutely. And also another thing that I've learned over the years about emotions and feelings is that when I experience an emotion, I look and say, is this, I call it internal resources and external resources. In other words, there are times when I know I need to work through these emotions myself and just handle it, go inward, express it, feel it, write it down, do whatever I have to do, and get back in the zone. But there are other times I realize that it has to do with another person. Let's say, for example, let's say I held a little bit of frustration or resentment toward you for some reason. Something, you said something that, whether it was your fault or my fault, doesn't matter, but it triggered me. And I feel a little bit of anger and resentment toward you. And I let it build. If I let it build, even if I try to work it through myself, it may not be enough. What I need to do is get on the phone with you and say, Maria, I need to express something. You know, over the last week, this and this happened and da-da-da-da. And I've been feeling some sadness or hurt or pain or disappointment. And I thought I would share that with you. And then you and I talk about it. In 5 minutes, it's all gone. Because the way to channel the emotions was to communicate and have a good conversation with you. So there are different ways to manage the emotions, is my point.
Definitely. I mean, sometimes our emotions really are not about what person did or said. It's about more like there are different external circumstances that made us feel a certain way. So in this case, you have really the outside resource would be probably to speak with someone you trust, whether it's a friend, whether it's a coach like you and me, or mentor, or a parent, or whoever it is, right? That could be another external resource at this point.
Absolutely. So any of you out there that feels the need to contact this young lady, Maria Igorova, how do they get in touch with you, Maria?
Thanks so much for asking. Yes, I implemented mini sessions right now, just 1 hour, no strings attached. For just anybody who needs any help, whether it's relationship, whether it's current relationship that you are on and you have frustrations or lack thereof, or about absolutely any frustrations you have at this point with coronavirus. You could find me on my website, www.mariaigorovacoaching.com. And as usual, we're going to post it somewhere around this video. And I am very active on Facebook as well. You could find me on Facebook. And just send me a message there.
Wonderful. And as far as me, there are 2 ways that you can connect with me, either through coaching, through my coaching services at allannight.com. I also am doing something since the pandemic era. I wanted to find a way to share my coaching services free of charge. So I'm working on a special project. If any of you are interested in wellness and earning some extra money to augment the money that you need during this challenging time, you could talk to me about that and I'll share with you how I'm actually doing that. So allanknight.com, or you can email me at allan@allanknight.com. Maria, look
Perfect.
forward to next week.
Me as well. Stay in
Stay
the Zen
safe.
Zone.
Stay in
Stay
the Zen
safe in
Zone.
Zen Zone. Yes, and enjoy yourself. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.